Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I'm here to talk about Jared Gordon versus Marco Matson. Jared Gordon, he is 35 years old now, and I'm glad he took a lot of time off after that the Bobby Green no contest. He did not lose that fight; it was a no contest, but he was knocked unconscious. And after that, shortly after that, he was trying to bounce back and fight Jim Miller, I think. And then the fight got pulled because I think whoever realized, hopefully someone in his camp, it's a stupid fucking idea. And this isn't. Coming back 6+ months later, definitely not a stupid move. They were wise about this. And also, if they had anything to do with it, they were wise with the matchmaking. Because Marco Matson, despite being an underrated striker, and definitely having some power, Marco Matson, he is not known as a knockout artist. So, Jared Gordon, this is a good test for him coming back. And he's favored to win. Jared Gordon, he's got a record of 19-6. He's got 6 TKOs, 2 submissions, and 11 decisions. And his 6 losses come 4 via TKO, 1 via submission, 1 via decision. One of the TKOs was an injury, and the rest were all legit. And they weren't TKOs, they were knockouts. He was knocked out by Charles Oliveira, Carlos Diego Ferreira, and Joaquim Silva. And again, Bobby Green didn't beat him, but he was knocked unconscious there as well. So I have doubts and always will about Jared Gordon, especially now that he's 35 and he's only going to be getting older. It's always going to be a concern. But if you don't knock him out, he's shown to have that good grit where he can, he can hang, striking and grappling, and he can fight hard for 15 minutes. And, of course, he lost by decision to Paddy Pimblett, which was bullshit. And the one guy to submit him is Grant Dawson, who got him out of there with a rear naked choke in round 3, which is exactly how Marco Matson lost his one fight. Round 3 rear naked choke to Grant Dawson. Marco Matson, he is a wrestler, Olympic wrestler, but he is now 39 years old, so everything's starting to slow down a little bit. But it's still there for him. We've seen it, in every fight but the Grant Dawson fight, even though I think he took him down in the first minute of the fight, but then ended up getting his back taken and never took him down again. He was taken down from that point on. But if you're not able to take away the wrestling of Marco Matson, then he is going to be ripping you to the mat. He's definitely still very athletic and very sharp athletically at 39 years old. He is a Greco guy, so it's not always conventional double legs and whatever, but the guy is still a wrestling force. And he picked up some good wins already. Vince Pichel and Clay Guida especially. Those are really tight decisions, and he won by scratching and clawing. And where it looked like the wrestling game was being taken away from him in those fights, he, especially in the Vince Pichel fight, he reclaimed it in round 3. And he's shown in those fights the guy can throw down as well. It's not just the overhand right from the wrestler. He's comfortable on his feet with pressure from more sophisticated strikers, which everybody's going to be a more sophisticated striker. But Marco Matson doesn't scare easy, is my point. And those 2 wins I mentioned against Vince Pichel and Clay Guida, those are gritty performances, and they help erase some doubts that he's given me, especially in his Austin Hubbard fight. He won that fight, but he fell off in round 3. And I'd have to say my only real speculation as far as weaknesses go would be between his loss in round 3 to rear naked choke to Grant Dawson and the way he was losing round 3 to Austin Hubbard. I'd say it's cardio. But like I said, those doubts have been alleviated by some other fights. And then again, the fact that he's 39 kind of puts a little more doubt there, I guess. Still, in this fight, I think Jared Gordon is much better on the feet. I think generally, definitely he's better jiu-jitsu-wise and on the feet. And Marco Madsen certainly better wrestling-wise. And I think generally Marco Matson does better early and Jared Gordon does better later. This is a fight where I feel like normally I'd be picking Jared Gordon to tame him and win rounds 2 and 3 and win a 29-28 decision. But Marco Matson has a lot of good traits as a fighter and a little underrated power, which gives me some hope. And I think between it all, I'm picking Marco Matson to win. There is, of course, a chance he cracks the suspect chin of Jared Gordon. And if he doesn't, there is a chance he's able to out-wrestle him for 2 out of 3 rounds. I definitely think he can do so in round 1, even though Jared Gordon is a well-rounded guy. He's a guy that I thought was a wrestler for years until I realized he wasn't, which says a lot about him. You know, he's definitely not a bad wrestler as an MMA fighter. But he's up against it here while Marco Matson's fresh. And then when he's not, Marco Matson, I think he's got enough traits still to carry him to a victory. So I'm playing the underdog, plus 155, Marco Matson, and threw a sprinkle on decision at plus 250. I also threw a sprinkle on Jared Gordon at plus 1400 for round 3, but that's beside the point. Marco Matson is the pick, and gun to my head, I would go decision. Like, share, subscribe, all that horseshit. Check out my other videos.